Okay, it's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. I'm joined by Ray Davis. How you doing, Ray?
Nice to meet you, Simon.
At the wonderful Grey Trees Brewery. It's their artwork behind. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to be making a homemade pork pie. So take it away, Ray.
Okay then, I'm just going to go through making, you know, obviously I'm a brewer, I'm not a chef, I'm just a self-taught pork pie maker, I'm a bit of a fanatic, Simon.
Awesome.
You know, obviously you heard the stories and the legend of all my pork pies.
Absolutely,
so
yes,
what I'd like to do now is just put it into practice, Phil.
Let's do it.
Okay, so the first thing we need to do is make the hot water crust pastry. Okay. Traditionally, hot water crust pastry was basically a method of preserving the meat, okay?
Yeah.
So what they would do is they get your pork meat, they cover with hot water crust pastry, add a bit of jelly, and that would be it. And then mainly eaten by farm workers, and what they would do is they would discard the pastry and then eat the meat inside. Obviously, modern day pork pies, the pastry is much better than would have been going back 200-300 years ago. So it's much more edible, if you know.
Right.
What I mean. All right. Okay. So
awesome.
First thing we're going to do is get the flour ready. Right. So there's my weighing scales. Okay, Simon.
Okay.
Can you just check, make sure that's on 0?
Yeah.
Hang on.
There you go.
So really important part of this is making sure we sift the flour. We want to try and get some air, okay? So let's get this right. So we're sifting the flour. I'm only doing this at small scale. It's 225 grams of plain flour. What are we on, Simon? Count me in. 50.
70.
Yeah, keep going.
80.
Keep going.
100.
We want 225.
150.
Keep going.
200. This is real craft. This is real hands-on stuff.
225.
240.
Whoops, too much. 225. 232. That'll do it. 232 is good. It's craft. It's craft. It's not bang on.
There's a little bit of movement.
So here's the flour sifted. Yeah, we're going to put the flour into the mixing bowl.
Yeah.
Okay, that's done. We're going to add a bit of salt. Okay. Teaspoon. Big enough for you.
Job done.
Right, that's the flour prepared. Okay.
Right.
We're going to add 1 egg to it.
Yeah.
Crack in it goes. Okay, disregard that. Put that in the mash tun.
Yeah.
Extra flavour.
Okay.
Right. We're just going to get the knife now, and we're going to mix that slightly. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's done.
Look at this.
Okay, so that's the flour ready to go. Right, let's prepare the hot water, okay? You get 100 ml of boiling hot water.
Yeah.
40 grams of butter and lard.
Wow.
You dump it in, yeah?
Look at that.
Not very healthy, but it tastes good.
Job done.
So we're going to mix that up now.
Yeah.
We're going to make that dissolve into the water, 100 ml.
Look at that.
Ideally, you want a hot, you know, a hob basically heating this up, but the water's boiling hot, so we should mix.
We're in the brewery. We're doing it in the brewery.
We're in the brewery.
We're brewing our collaboration beer. Welsh special bitter behind us. I'm making pork pies at the front of the brewery. One more.
So keep mixing our side.
Yeah, no worries.
Try
no
to
worries.
break it down. Right, here's the pastry.
Smells good. What do you think of that? How am I doing?
You're doing alright, mate. Keep going.
Is my wrist technique okay?
Yeah. What time are we running off over there? 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock, okay. What time's it now? Oh, we're another 40 minutes. Keep going. Let's have a look, mate. Let's have a look.
How's that?
Yeah, you're nearly there. You still got a couple of lumps. Got to break it down, see?
Right, okay.
Keep going.
There you go.
Well, I think that's pretty much ready to go.
Drop them.
Okay,
down
so,
in.
yeah. Flour it in, straight in. In it goes. Okay, so it's hot water into the flour. You're just going to mix that up now, Simon, alright?
Right.
This is classic hot water crust pastry, right? Mix it up, look, you can see that, just mixing it.
Yeah, let's get it up to the camera. Look at that.
It's a bit wet, that, mate. I think we can add a little bit more flour to it.
Nice. Look at that.
Sift a little bit more flour into that. I think he's giving us a little bit too much hot water. We'll sift a little bit more flour into that. Okay, mix that in. Oh, let's see, come together.
Look at that.
Hot water crust pastry, when I first started making it, I found it becomes very brittle.
Right.
And it's very hard to work with. And you use short crust pastry, which is a different baby altogether. But Hot water crust, once you've mastered it,
Yeah.
you can chill it down in cling film and leave it for like a couple of days. Like. But
Right.
when I first started making it, I had big problems because it was very brittle when I wanted to play with it, still a bit wet. A little bit more flour. Scales are not working properly. There are. A little bit more flour. Okay. Now we're talking. Okay. Out to your hands, innit? Okay. Once you start picking up all the flour off the bowl, it's a sign to say that you're nearly there, look, alright?
Right, okay. Tricks of the trade, see. So how long have you been making pies, right?
Oh, 4 or 5 years.
Awesome.
It's just an hobby type of thing, you know?
Yeah.
So we're nearly there now.
But it's a big thing, while you're doing that, it's a big thing, is beer and food. But handcrafted beer, handcrafted pork pies, they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Hand in hand. So
Flour the board, go on,
Yeah.
sorry. And then dough goes in, okay?
So flavour-wise, you make cheese pork pies, do you?
Yeah, traditional pork pies, obviously with lids.
Yeah.
Some without lids. Sorry, so that's the hot water crust ready, okay?
Right.
What we're going to do now, we're going to wrap that in cling film, okay? We're going to put it in the fridge for a good couple of hours. We're going to let it. Obviously, it's quite warm now. If you touch that, yeah, it's hot water. Yeah, it's hot water crust. Yeah?
Right. Okay.
Cling film, all right. Okay. Wrap it up. Make sure it's completely sealed in the fridge for 2 to 3 hours. It's going to go on. You're going to get a gluten working in it.
Right. Okay.
All right. So that's one done. After 2 hours, one I done earlier, the blue Peter thing. All right. Out comes the hot water crust pastry, which we made earlier. Okay. And as you can see, Simon, all right,
Change colour a bit, hasn't it?
it's slightly changed colour, but what also you can tell about it, it's much more pliable. Look, feel that. Look at that.
Oh, look at that, yeah.
See?
It's a lot.
Much easier to work with,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, what's important now is that we mould this the correct way, right? Traditionally, Melton Mowbray would use a dolly, right? We use dollies sometimes, but for today's, we're going to use a tin,
Right.
A pork pie tin. Alright, so what we got to do is we're going to roll that out, okay, slightly on the board. And then we're going to use an Elman's pickle. Alright?
Right.
We're not going to use mayonnaise,
Right.
just purely using the jar.
Right.
Flour the jar, okay? Pastry over the top, we're just going to roll it like that. Turn it around, roll it. Mould,
Clever stuff. Clever stuff, I like
close
it.
it down. We're looking for the thickness of the pork pie to be about the same thickness as a pound coin,
Right.
roughly.
Okay.
You know, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, because when that goes in the oven, when some meat starts cooking, we need to try and seal the pie. Okay.
And for our American viewers, coin-wise, maybe $1. Oh, the dollar's paper, isn't it?
No, that's going to break through. It's not good. Right. Okay. So we moulded that. Right. We're going to drop that inside the tin.
No, look at this.
Right, in it goes. All right. All right. Mould it over. Okay. Turn it around. What we need now is a sharp knife to cut it. All right.
Can I show this to the camera? Look at this. Awesome technique so far.
Right.
Love it.
Sharp knife. Just cut around the pie. There it is. That's going to come for the lid. All right.
Yeah.
Just mould that now. Okay. You need just over the thickness of a pound coin, I would say.
Okay.
All right. Put your fingers in. At the end of the day, it's hot water crust pastry. Okay. Perfect. Cut away. Right. Okay. Next thing you're going to do is think about the lid. So put that over. You can chill that if you want to in the fridge.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're in the brewery at the moment, so we can't really chill it anymore. You know. Okay. Hold that. Roll it out for the lid. Okay. So let's take a little bit more off. Okay. Roll the lid. We want the lid the same, probably the width of a pound coin. Pork pie on top, cut around. This is years in the making. It didn't happen overnight.
Brilliant. This is
Hours and hours and hours and hours of research.
specialised.
Yeah, to make sure these pies are what they are. Okay. And like I said, later on we'll be trying them, so
Yeah.
you can really...
Get them in the oven, and we'll try them now on the video.
Okay, so there's my pork pie lid, alright?
Yeah.
Next thing we're going to do now is put a little hole in the top so that we can put the jelly in later, alright?
Right, okay.
So put a little hole in it, in the top there. Right. Sorry, I normally got a tool for this, but
We're in the brewery.
That's the pork pie lid.
Yeah.
There's the pork pie. Right, so that's the base and the lid prepared. Next thing you've got to think about is the actual meat to go inside. The traditional British pork pie should always have pork shoulder, pork belly, and a small amount of bacon, like maybe smoky bacon to give it a bit more flavour, right?
Nice.
So this is something I prepared earlier. Alright, this is about the right amount for the pork pie for today, okay? Inside there, you can see a lot of marbling. There's a lot of fat, okay?
Yeah.
That comes from the shoulder and the belly.
Yeah.
A bit of bacon, and seasoning wise, you know, you look at Rick Stein and people like that, they all sit in sizing. We go Billy Basic. Salt, black pepper, ground maize, right? Ground maize, it's just going to give us what we need. You mix it up, if you've got joints of it, obviously you can see this is proper pork meat, not processed pork meat.
Yeah.
What you do is you slice it up into about 10mm, 5mm cubes, add the seasoning, put it in a bowl, cling film in this thing, and it'll marinate all the seasoning together. Put it out the next day. Right, this goes inside the pie, okay? So the pie comes out, you bang it into the pie.
Oh, look at this. You've got to get that up to the camera when it's in. Look at that.
You're pushing it in, okay? Just making sure, try and push it in the best we can, right? Alright, that was our side one, right?
Run it up to the camera. Look at this. Look at that.
Okay, so the next thing we're going to do now is egg wash the lid, okay?
Okay.
You're just going to crack an egg, alright?
Is this for flavour as well?
No, this is purely as acting as a glue.
Right, okay.
Alright, so we're going to try and get our lid on, okay?
Ah, I see.
Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to paint around the lid
Yeah.
with the egg wash. Alright. Okay, happy with that? Grab the lid, okay, and we're just going to add a little bit of egg wash on the lid.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the bit where the egg wash goes downward, okay?
Okay.
And we just put that on top of the pie.
And that'll seal it and stick it and...
Yeah, so what we're just going to do now is mould the inside of that into the pie. Right, try a bit of flour on my fingers. Right, this is the skill of crimping now, right? What we're going to do is push the lid so it's surplus to requirement, obviously, you know,
Yeah.
it needs to be surplus, okay? So we crimping it along like that, okay? Once we're wrapping the glue is the egg wash is doing, we're just going to push it over.
Right.
Alright? Okay. And then we're going to trim it with a sharp knife, okay? Same as we did earlier.
Right, it's looking like a pie now. It's resembling a pork pie without of course being cooked yet. So how long would you put this in the oven for?
Probably about an hour. Bearing in mind, you know, you're talking about a pound and a half pork pie.
Yeah.
So that's done now, right? Just going to put the finishing touches to this. Okay, there's the all, alright? Which is really important. We're just going to crimp it now, right? We're going to make it look really good for customers. We're just going to crimp, alright?
Got you.
If you don't use them, you'll got a bit more solid protein going through the fermentation. Also refining the protein out.
So the oven should be on now, preheated obviously, alright? Like we have got next door, okay? On about 210, I'd say, alright?
Yeah.
Right, there's no need to egg wash the top of the pie yet, okay? So that's it, the pie's ready, okay? Goes in the oven, okay? For an hour, right? We drag it out, okay? And we're gonna put a little bit of egg wash at the top of it, back in for 5 to 10 minutes, out, pie's done. And that's it.
Right. High five. Look at this, everyone. That looks fantastic, and that just took what, 5-10 minutes? Brilliant.
Should we get one of the? Should we? We leave it till a bit later now, and we'll get one of the pies out there and see what it turns out like.
Brilliant.
Obviously, we've cooked the pie now, Simon.
Yep.
We've let it cool in the pie tin, and we've taken it out, and that's what we got, everybody. All right. Next thing we need to do now is add some pork jelly to it.
How do you do that?
Right. First thing is how do you make jelly for pork pies?
Yeah.
What I tend to do is I've got a slow cooker at home.
Yeah.
I have 2 pig's trotters.
Yeah.
Okay. I put the pig's trotters in. So pig's trotters, obviously pig's feet, cut into the slow cooker. We add some water, or you can even use cider. You could use beer, but in this case I've used water. Right.
Okay.
Goes into the slow cooker with the pig's trotters. Black pepper, carrots, a bit of vegetable stock, celery. You know, at the end of the day, you're making a stock, right?
Yeah.
Goes into the slow cooker for about, I'd say, 3 to 4 hours. We're gonna break all that pig's trotter down. We're gonna extract all the jelly and all, you know. Once that's done, you need to filter that, obviously, like you're making a traditional gravy. You know, when you make a traditional gravy, a stock in it.
Yeah.
So what you're gonna do is you're gonna get your net or your muslin cloth or whatever, and you're going to filter all that juice out of there into another vessel, okay? Then you're going to reduce it, okay? You're going to reduce it down, and once you've got your jelly, that's your jelly, seasoned to taste, and it's ready for the pork pie, okay? What you'll find is once it cools, the jelly will naturally solidify.
Right.
You can make easier ways of making, obviously, jelly for pork pies is by using gelatine, like you're making cakes and stuff.
But you want it, it's handcrafted, isn't it? So you want to do it.
Proper pork meat, you're not going to substitute that.
No.
But if you're in a rush to make a jelly, you just, use a stock cube, bit of water, bit of gelatine, and it'll solidify in the pie. Right, so what we're going to do now is extract some of this out of some of the thing, and it's got this tool here now, which is a specialist tool for adding jelly to the pork pie. You're going to squeeze it in. We're just going to add the jelly slowly.
Oh, look at this.
Turn it around. Okay, it's going to start overflowing now, Simon, because at the end of the day, you're probably going to put about 200 ml into this pork pie. No, it's overflowing now, right?
Awesome.
Right, okay. We're going to put that in the fridge now, once it's cool. We'll put that in the fridge and let it set overnight, okay?
Awesome.
And that's it, mate. Done.
Starving now.
Right. Okay.
Brilliant. So, handcrafted, brewery made pork pies from Brewery. Awesome. Thanks, Ray.
Brilliant.
Cheers.